What's going on, and welcome back to another less than 10-minute gear review. And in this video we're going to be going over the new Army issued Advanced or Airborne Tactical Assault Panel, or ATAPs for short. I've had a couple of guys from both the 101st and the 82nd ask me a couple of questions about this thing. I don't get issued this. I actually purchased this and it was the only one that I could find, so I'll get to that data here in a sec. But I've had a couple of the guys in some of the infantry units between those two units ask about a couple of different setups and configurations, so went ahead and purchased this. I will say that from what I've been able to gather, it's only been getting issued and pushed out for the past 2 or 3 months. There is one other video that I found on YouTube about it, and I believe the guy that is running that is from the Army Futures Command, and I'm pretty sure he's a DoD contractor. But with that, there is one other video. I'll post that in the link so that way you guys have something else to reference as far as setup goes. And then on top of that, in the near future, I'll have a couple of additional videos answering the questions and answering the mail on some of the leadership, communications, RTO, grenadier, medic, and machine gunner configurations that I've been asked to do on this system. So I'll run through all of those. Previously, I have been asked a lot of questions about the older TAP system being a platform that could be utilized for machine gun equipment and setup, and my answer for that is still a pretty hard no. I would not recommend the old TAP system for any machine gun configurations, but I do think that this system right here will do a really good job when it comes to machine gun setups for the guys running the 249, the 240, and then possibly the future systems that we're going to be getting in the military. So with that, I'm going to dive right into this so that way you guys can see what's going on, and then I'll give a very brief outline of how I would configure this, which will lead into the redefining issued equipment series stuff and the individual setups that I'll do with this. So with that, when it comes to price tag, if you're looking to purchase one of these, the only place I've been able to find it is on eBay, and they run for about $100 a piece. So it's pretty spendy, I would say, for an Army product or conventional military product. But I do think that this thing is actually pretty well put together, and I would say that the price is close to justified. So that's roughly how much you may spend on one of these guys if you're looking at one for an aftermarket setup. And then when it comes to camo and color patterns, what you see right here is pretty much the only one that I've been able to find. You have the coyote brown for the shoulder straps and this little back panel, and then you have the multicam for the side panels. So that's really about it general data wise. Construction, from what it feels like, it's probably anywhere between 5 to 750 denier cordura, with the exception of the shoulder straps. That's just nylon, and then the mesh bottom here as well. So yeah, with that, that's really about it when it comes to all of that. Configuration wise and how this thing is actually set up, it's going to come in a handful of different pieces. For the most part, at least the way that I pulled it out of the manufactured packaging, it was all set up and configured. But when you're looking at the different components, you have your shoulder straps up top here with your drag handle and then a little bit of MOLLE. So if you want to add hydration pouch or whatever, you can do that with this system. And then you're going to have your back straps connected to that. They're going to be permanently connected to the back panel here, and then they run up and through your little adjustment portions that are up at the top of the shoulder straps. So once you go through those, they'll come back down, and then you can just neatly stow them down here in the back panel portion, and then cover them up with a pouch if you'd want to. So in addition with that, for the shoulder straps, you also get these 2 buckles and the straps that connect everything to the shoulder straps from the side panels. So that's what these guys are for right there. I haven't tried to completely disassemble this thing yet, but I will do a future video for that, and look at how the system can be adapted to like just buckling straight into a plate carrier. But I need to do some more work before I get into that. From there, for the back panel, you do have these 4 buckles with your adjustment straps. These adjustment straps are attached to the side panels here, so you can remove this entire thing and then connect them. You'll just have to get male and female end for this piece or these pieces if you want to do that and remove that back panel piece. One recommendation that I would give when it comes to this system right here and these buckles is, if you can and if you want to spend the money on it, I would recommend purchasing the kind of more minimalistic Cobra buckles that are out there, similar to the ones that are used on the S&S plate frame modular and the systems that they run. That way these buckles don't dig into your back when you're running a pack and stuff. So you can definitely feel these when you're running a ruck or an Alice ruck, a Molly ruck, medium ruck. You'll feel those a little bit with the way that the system pushes into your back. So that's a little bit of a discomfort piece, but I do think that when this is just a standalone system, it actually is pretty comfortable. But if you're also wearing body armor, you probably won't notice these buckles at all. With that said, moving on, we have the two side panels. So these two side panels have a rigid plastic piece that sits in the interior of this. So when you're playing around with it and messing with it, you're going to notice that that piece is in there. I think that is a really good thing to have in there, especially when you're looking at the weight for the machine gun configurations that you can do with this. The rounds and the ammo and the weight that is pulling against the panel, I think that rigid panel is going to help keep things kind of structurally sound to where you don't have to worry about the whole panel itself kind of giving way and not staying, in the form that it needs to stay in. So I do like that about this system. With that, on the panels on the left side, you do have your spear tubes female end, and then on the right side you have the male end for the tube system. So you have that quick detach system. I think this is a really nice feature. I will say though, just looking at the way that this thing is configured, if these break, you're gonna have to get a whole new system. So that might be something worth looking at in the future. Hopefully the military is watching this. It'd be cool to have a system that if these tubes break, you can just swap them out instead of having to get a whole entire new ATAP system. So first spear as well, I'll definitely link them in there. So just some food for thought to enhance the product and save money at the end of the day. With that, on the interior of each panel, you do have two little pockets. You have the small little mesh pocket right here, and then you have the larger mesh pocket right here, and then your adjustment pieces for your shoulder straps. So I don't think that you can really fit a med kit in here, like I've shown on the older or the original version of the TAP system. So kind of a shortcoming, I guess you could say, because I think that having these pouches with a little bit of flex in them to be able to store equipment and store med kits or store whatever you may need in there that's mission critical is a nice little feature to have. But this definitely does not have as wide of a pocket or as open of a pocket as the older system. With that though, you can definitely still fit your GRGs, mission data stuff that you maybe want to take on mission, maps, markers, little administrative things. You can definitely still throw those in there. So there is enough space for all of that. My recommendation is use the smaller pockets for your pens and pencils and writing utensils, and then use the larger pocket for papers, GRG or notebooks, paper, GRGs, and any other like flat little items that you may want to throw in there as well. So with that, I do want to talk about some mod stuff when it comes to what I think this system could be capable of in the near future. I did purchase from Fire Force the little Molly 2 panel that was originally set up for the Flick system. I'm going to see if that can be integrated into this. I hope that it can be. They have told me that they're going to discontinue that product. I hope that if it does work, they don't discontinue it, because I do think that if that piece of equipment, that Molly 2 panel, can be integrated into this whole system, it's going to really enhance the back capability of the entire ATAP system. So we'll see what that looks like when everything comes in. But I do think if it works, it'll definitely be kind of a feasible option to throw a small little pack like the Eagle Industry Map Pack or the Eagle Industry Beaver Tail, taking one of those platforms and integrating it into this. I do think it may be possible for that. So I hope it works out. We'll see. I'll definitely do additional reviews and setups for that in the future. In addition to that, I have had Venture Surplus show me a couple of different panels that have been configured for these types of like flick-like systems and H-harness systems and all of that. That is essentially, hopefully I can get this to work. Clip this into place. It's a little panel that can be added to the middle of most of these H-harness systems. So I'm going to see if I can get my hands on one of those. I have to ask him where he bought it from. But hopefully that will work, so then that way you can kind of have a little bit more of like a Rhodesian vest setup and configuration with this. So keep an eye out for all of that content here in the near future. I'm going to close this up so that way we can move on to the next one, and that way you guys can see some of the different kit configurations. But just real briefly, when it comes to how I would recommend setting this up before I get those videos put together, so that way you have a little bit of an introduction to it. Aftermarket equipment wise, because I don't have any of the MOLLE or pouch kits that come from the conventional side, I would run the Tac Tailor double mag pouch or panel on either side of this, and then I would run the Blue Force Gear 10-speed double mag pouch on top of that. So then that way you have the capacity to run 8 mags, but realistically you're probably going to just run 4 mags total between the two panels, and then if you need to plus up 2 more you can, or you can utilize those other pouches or the 10-speed pouches for other equipment like GPSs, compasses, maybe some mission data or GRG cards, and then for me it'd be like breaching stuff. I could definitely run initiating systems through it. So that's how I would set this configuration up for the front portion of these side panels, and then right behind that I would probably throw a flashbang pouch and then my radio pouch on my left hand side, or vice versa, just configuring it in a way that's most comfortable and the most feasible when it comes to placement of all of that equipment, and doesn't interfere with shouldering the rifle or manipulating the gun in any way. And then on the other side I would probably throw a small general purpose pouch for night vision and any other mission essential equipment stuff. And then on the back I would honestly probably just leave this blank. If you want to throw a small pouch on the back of it for whatever you maybe need to carry, I would definitely go with a small horizontal general purpose pouch, probably like the Tier Tactical one. But if the Fire Force system will work on the back of this, that MOLLE 2 panel, I would definitely run probably the Eagle Industries Beaver Tail pack, and then that way this whole system is just a little bit more capable and has a little bit more going on to enhance its overall ability to aid or enhance the soldier's ability to shoot, move, communicate, and increase lethality and survivability and all that stuff. So with that, med kit wise, that may be something that you may want to consider throwing on here as well. My personal preference is to throw a med kit on a belt, so that way if you ever have to ditch your kit, you still have that med kit on you. So maybe here on the back side you could throw that med kit, or just shift some of the stuff around on the left or the right side and add that med kit there. So with that, that's kind of going to close this up. If you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. I'll help you out in any way that I can. I just got this, just so that way you guys know. I've had it for maybe a day, and I did probably about 5 hours of research on this thing. So there was very little to no information about it, and I was only, like I said, able to find one other YouTube video and some all right articles. I'll just say that. So I'll incorporate that stuff into the bio, so that way you guys have that stuff. But like I said, if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll help you out in any way that I can. And with that, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.